Now that we have our you win and game over UIs created, let's go ahead and script out what happens when it's you win or game over. Now to do that, we're going to work our way backwards so it's more understandable, and that starts with what happens when the match is completed. Okay, what happens when the match is completed? We have to take care of that first. So to do that, we're going to get into our gameplay game mode blueprint. All right, and you have to make sure you're in your gameplay map. I'm going to go to content. Let's go to blueprints. I'm going to go to gameplay, and I'm just going to open up my gameplay game mode. There we go. Double click that, and inside here I really can just start scripting anywhere in here. So what I'm going to do is create a custom event. So let's go ahead and zoom in. I'm going to right click and say add custom event, and I'm just going to call this match finished. So match finished. There we go, just like that. Perfect. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a delay in there, okay? Because I want, as soon as the player wins or loses, as soon as the player wins, I don't want it to immediately go. I want it to delay a little bit so you can kind of savor in your victory, and then it goes back to the main menu, and then you could create a new session and play all over again. So I'm just going to drag off here. I'm going to say delay, and that's under flow control and delay. And I'm going to set the delay to something like 10 seconds, and you can do whatever you want. It could be 10, 20, 15, however long you want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to destroy the session, the online session. So online session, destroy session. Off this, I have to connect it to the player controller. So I say get player controller. There we go. Let me zoom out just a little bit. We're going to move over. And after we destroy the session, we're just going to open the level. And the level that we're going to open is that's right, the main menu map. The main menu map, so we can create a new session and play another game. So I'm just going to drag off of here, and I'm going to say open level. There it is. Like that. And I'm also going to do the same thing for the on failure. I'm just going to connect that to the same execution pin as my on success. All right, whether it succeeds or doesn't, I want it to go to a new level. And now inside of level name, I have to spell my main menu map exactly how I spelled it when I created it. So it's just main menu. So let me move that out of the way. Main menu map. And for me, I did a capital for each one of the words. You have to check yours and make sure you did yours, or how you did yours. Okay, there we go, just like that. Okay, so now I know what happens when this function, or I'm sorry, this event gets fired off. It destroys, it delays, destroys the session, and then opens the main menu. Okay, I'm going to compile and save that. I shouldn't get any errors. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my game state, because we need to call this function somehow. And this function will be called when there's only one player left in the game. So let's go to our gameplay map. We're going to go to blueprints and go to all levels, and in there you have your my game state. I'm just going to double click to open that up, and we're going to create a new function, okay? And this new function is just going to be called update players alive. So what this does is every time a player gets destroyed, then it updates the count, and when it's less than or greater than 1, okay, less than or greater than, that doesn't make any sense, less than or equal to 1, then we want to call that match finished. So I'm just going to right click here, and I'm going to say add custom event. There it is, just like that. And let me zoom in on that. And I'm just going to call this update players alive. Update players alive. So it's just going to update the number of players that are alive inside the game. And notice right over here, I have a variable called players alive. So I'm just going to drag that out, and I'm going to work my way backwards. So I'm just going to say set. We're going to set that number. So let's connect this to here. And off of this pin, we're just going to do an int minus an int. So I can even just say int minus int. Oops. Let me see, that int minus will give me the int, well, that says float, so I don't want that one. In fact, let's just do a minus, just like that, and it gives us, there it is, integer minus an integer. I guess we could have used the other one there. And off of here, let's just go ahead and drag our players alive right over that top one, just like that. Okay, so now what I have is when this thing is called, what it does is it minuses 1 from the players alive count, and then it sets it as the players alive. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to check okay, with a branch. So I'm just going to drag off of here, and I'm going to say branch, like so. And now we have to set the condition. Well, the condition will be, well, is players alive less than or equals to 1? So I can just drag off of here and do a sign like that, and then equals. There we go. And that will give me, let's see here, I'm looking for an int less than or equal to an int, just like that. There we go. And now I'm just going to connect this pin, this output pin, to this input pin to set that. And then this has to be 1. Okay, because that's what I want to say. I want to say, is players alive less than or equals to 1? If that is true, well, I want something to happen. So let's go ahead and script what happens. Well, basically, when that happens, I want to call that matched finished function that I just created in my gameplay. I want to call this function right here, my gameplay GM. So to do that, I have to cast to my gameplay GM. So I have access to that function. Now, all we have to do is drag off of here, and we're going to say cast to gameplay GM. Where is it? Let's see if we can find it. Gameplay GM. Oops, cast to. Did I spell something wrong? You know what I have to do? It's easier if I just right click in here and I say get game mode. There it is. And then drag up here, and I'm going to say cast to, there it is, gameplay GM. And then I'm going to connect true up to here. And then all I have to do is drag off of this. And I just want to say matched finished. I'm calling that function. There it is. Under call function. Boom. Just like that. Okay. So that is actually the first part. That is the first part. So far we've created 2 custom events. One in our gameplay GM called matched finished. What happens when the match finishes? And then in my game state, I've called update players alive, so that when I call this function, it will update the number of players that are alive, and then eventually at the very end, we'll call the matched finished one. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and compile. I'm going to save. This won't work just yet because we still have a part 2, but go ahead and get that complete, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, so I'm actually going to go to File and Save All. All right, go ahead and have some fun.